Hello everyone, welcome to Maria's Kitchen. Today I am going to show you a recipe called lime, coconut, and potato gratin. And it comes from our All Pueblo Reads book called Flavor. And this book is an amazing book, let me tell you. It's all on vegetables. And it's written by Yotam, Ottolenghi, and Ixta, Belfrage. And they are doing magical things in the kitchen with these vegetables. And they have just sometimes several steps for them, but the layers of flavor that you get are amazing. So I am going to show you what I did in the first part. So with the lime and coconut potato gratin, I'm going to show you the video. And in this part, I am heating up some olive oil and frying up some shallots. And I'll be throwing in the garlic in a little bit here. And so the recipe calls for 4 to 5 shallots sliced very thinly, if you can, with a mandolin. And if not, then just by hand. Try to cut your shallots by hand, which is what I actually did in this case. And then 2 garlic cloves crushed. So I let the shallots fry for a little bit. And then we needed to add about table salt, and then 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So I'm adding a little more oil there in that one. And I'm just sauteing everything. And I'm sauteing it all together. And what he recommends is that you saute everything for about 8 to 10 minutes. And you just stir occasionally, and you're going to see like everything kind of turn kind of golden brown in there. And while you're doing that, you're preheating the oven to 400 degrees. And this dish that I'm using, I'm actually going to be using to bake in for the potato gratin. And there I'm adding the garlic, and I added it kind of towards the end because garlic can tend to burn. I tend to burn garlic, so I just wanted to make sure those shallots were really cooking pretty well before I did that. So I did that for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then it's going to have then I pull them out. So I pull them out of the dish, and then I'm going to show you the next step, which is the potato mixture. So with the potato mixture, it asks for about 3 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes. And it said you can use another type of potato, but the Yukon Gold was recommended because they're kind of creamy. And so you're going to do, and those about like 6 potatoes, and you're going to slice it with a mandolin because you want that really thin. So I did that with my potatoes, and I left the skin on. And then you're going to need a 1/3 cup of coconut cream, 3 limes, but you're going to zest the 3 limes. You're going to put the zest away, and then you're going to juice them, and you're going to get about 1/4 cup of lime juice that you're going to use. And so I'm going to share with you the next video showing you the potato mixture. And so there, we'll get it started. I had 1 potato, the one in my hand, that it was so big, it was like it was like 2 potatoes together, so I just counted that as one. But I didn't have a very big bowl that I used. So when you do this, you're going to want a really big bowl. And I didn't quite have that. So I've got all my potatoes, and I'm actually putting them in the pan. Now, the authors don't recommend you doing that. They want you to put the rest of the ingredients into one bowl, and to start with the shallots into one bowl, and then you throw those potatoes and the coconut milk or the coconut cream and the lime all together and mix it. But my bowl wasn't big enough, so I ended up just mixing everything in the pan that I'm cooking in, and then I'll be baking it in. And so now I've mixed all those shallots, and I've put some extra salt on it because it recommended to go ahead and add potatoes, the table salt, and it said another like 2 teaspoons of table salt. I'm obviously putting more than that. And then it also wanted pepper. So it said to put plenty of pepper. So I added pepper to that. And then I'm mixing the shallots, and it's kind of like you're folding it because you don't want to break those potatoes because they're pretty thin, and you want your dish to be kind of pretty. So I'm just kind of folding those shallots in there. And then I'm going to start adding some of the other ingredients. So I'm going to just forward this a little more. I was throwing in some more of that potato. And now I'm grabbing that lime juice. And so that's a 1/4 cup of lime juice. That turned out to be actually the juice of 2 limes. I had some pretty juicy limes. So it turned out to be that. So I threw that in, and now it's the coconut cream, and it's 1/3 cup of the coconut cream. And I'm just pouring that in there. Now he recommends that you melt it, but I just started putting it in because the pan was already hot. So I figured it would melt pretty quickly with the mixture of the potatoes. So now I'm just folding them in and mixing it. And it recommends in the book to try not to break any of those potato slices as well. And then it also says that to try to use some of the slices that are whole and that are pretty, to kind of put those on top of the gratin. I thought they were pretty nice. So now you put in some chicken broth or vegetable stock, and you're going to use 3/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons or 200 milliliters of broth. And I use chicken broth. If you're a vegetarian, definitely use your vegetable broth. And you just want that liquid, and then you're going to cover it up and put it in that 400-degree oven, which turned out to be pretty hot, but boy, you're actually cooking it for a long period of time. And I've made potato gratin before, but not like this. It was, honestly, it was pretty amazing. So, and this, I think, is part of the amazing part that I'm going to show you right now. This is a section in the recipe where it's called aromatics. And the aromatics, I think, really help to make this recipe. So there you see, I have 2 red chilies. I have 2 red chilies that I chopped up, and I've got that going in there with 3 cloves of garlic that were sliced. And then I'm going to add 1/4 of an ounce of fresh ginger. So this is a ginger that you peel and julienne, And so that's what I did with my ginger. And you're going to have about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there. And I think I ended up adding a little more than that of olive oil. Everything smelled amazing. And as you can see behind the aromatics, I have already pulled the potatoes out, and they cooked for 40 minutes, covered in the oven at 400 degrees. And now I'm just making those aromatics and getting those all kind of toasty and nice. And then after, let's see, when you do that, you're going to cook them for about 5 minutes. So I'm going to fast forward a little. And then it wants you, after about 5 minutes of cooking those aromatics, you are taking them out. So I took out those aromatics. And now I'm going to add the next step to the aromatics, which is the green onions. So these are 4 green onions that were finely sliced. And you're throwing those separately into that same oil. And you're going to cook those onions for about 2 minutes until they're a little crispy. And then when you're through cooking those, then you're going to add them to the plate of the garlic. And you're going to sprinkle them with some salt. And then I'm going to fast forward a little so you can see I've got my salt going. The green onions, they're frying for about a couple of minutes. And now I'm going to take them out. And I'm just going to go ahead and put them on with the rest of the aromatics. And everything just smelled amazing while I was cooking all of this. And I thought in the recipe that I was going to throw all of that into the potato gratin. And that's not the next step. The next step is just about the oil. So once you pull all of them out, then you are going to drizzle a 1/4 cup of that oil into your potatoes. And that's what I ended up doing. And I think I even put, because it smelled so good, I think I even put like a little bit more than a 1/4. So a 1/4 is like 4 tablespoons of oil. And that's what I did, but it smelled so good. And I didn't want that oil to go to waste. So I think I put like about 5 tablespoons of oil in that potato. And you're just layering it on top, all of that flavor onto those potatoes. And then that was that part. And so at that point, it actually has another step where you're going to put the potato gratin back into the oven with that oil coming in. And I did ended up in the video, as you could see, I covered it and then put it back in the oven. And then I read the recipe again and I realized, no, that you're going to remove it, the cover, and you're going to bake it uncovered for another 50 minutes. So you've already baked it in the oven for 40 minutes covered. And now with all that, the oil on top, then you're going to cook it for another 50 minutes uncovered. And then at the last 5 minutes, you increase the heat to 425 degrees. And the top is going to be nice and golden and brown. And that's the next step. And this the next video I'm going to show you is me. I've already pulled out the potato gratin. And you can see that it's nice and beautiful and brown and crispy. And now you go ahead and put all the aromatics on top of your potato gratin. Then you're supposed to set it aside to cool for about 10 minutes. It smelled so good. I could not wait for those 10 minutes. I'm sorry. And then the last step is you are putting the lime zest. So that's lime zest of 3 limes that you are sprinkling on top of your potatoes. And then it even recommends to put a generous pinch of the sea salt on top. But I could not wait the 10 minutes. It smelled so good. And my house smelled amazing for several days after that. And it just felt magical with this vegetable. And I think that's what the goal of Yotam Ottolenghi is to have this, taking your vegetables to that higher level where it's like a flavor bomb in your mouth, in your kitchen, and you're just really bringing it all together. And let me tell you, I don't have any of the potatoes to show you today because they just were all gone. It just was so delicious. I'm definitely doing this recipe again because it just really was an amazing flavor. You have all these layers of different flavors in your dish, and then it just was magical. And so I really hope that you try this recipe. I'm definitely going to use it again, but I'm also definitely going to be looking at this book differently now that I know that these steps that you take are simple steps, but they make a huge difference. They are a real flavor bomb in your mouth. The people that you cook for are going to love you forever. So I hope you really get a chance to try these. These are available at the library for checkout, and he has other books that are also available at the library that you can check out. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you really enjoy cooking with our All Pueblo Reads book Flavor, because it was so much fun, and it was so well worth all those little steps that you have to take just for that flavor. Thank you.